go live.
Hi folks, this is Heinle, and this is my persuasive speech for my speech class for Herzing University. I have my victims in the audience. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people present, plus myself, and we're ready to go. Today, I'm speaking about employers' hiring laws need enforcement, preventing illegal immigration by enforcing the current Department of Labor laws. When was the last time you went to a restaurant, any restaurant, whether that be American or ethnic, and let's say like a Chinese restaurant, and you saw Mexican immigrants working in the kitchen? How is it that they're even legal to work in the country if they're not even legal in the U.S.? Well, the policies are already in place to prevent American employers from hiring illegal immigrants, but unfortunately our government chooses not to regularly enforce these policies. I believe that with employer education and diligent government follow-up, these existing laws can help to change or even eliminate illegal immigrants from getting jobs in the U.S. unlawfully. Please allow for me to show you the ways that we can influence our local employers as well as our government to use the laws that we already have to slow down and or eliminate illegal immigrants from taking our American jobs. Let's take a moment to review what we already know about illegal immigration in our country. Immigration is a problem. Illegal immigration, actually. According to the website Immigration Counters, there are over 22 million illegal immigrants currently, and only maybe 500,000 of those, almost 600,000 of those, aren't Mexican. But if you look at the statistics, it's showing that over 11 million skilled jobs are provided to these illegal aliens. Now, immigration isn't all necessarily bad, because our ancestors came through Ellis Island. They learned English because it was the primary language here. They took classes and then a test to become a legal U.S. citizen. And they worked hard to start their lives over and didn't expect charity to help them out. Times have changed since then, and for several generations, Mexicans have been illegally entering our country and getting jobs here that pay good money, only so they can send that money home to their families who are struggling in Mexico. We've tried to stop them, we've tried to slow them down. But I believe we're taking the wrong approach to solving this immigration problem. By building a higher, taller, stronger fence, it's going to take a lot of money that we just don't have. And every attempt that we've made so far to build this fence or wall has been stopped or put on hold because of different funding problems, different things to divert the money. Secondly, I want to point out that Arizona has the new law, that SB 1070, and it's criticized as being racially profiling. And I don't think that's going to last very long because it'll be deemed a violation of civil rights. So, and finally, the other point I want to make is that trying to siphon off government funds and medical aid to the illegal immigrants that are already here can't be done effectively because the floodgates have already been open for way too long. We actually now have a new generation of children from these original illegal immigrants who are now legal citizens because they were actually born in this country. And those children are actually entitled to our government aid and our medical funds. So, what can we do about all of this? I propose that we enforce the employment laws that we already currently have. The I-9 form exists for the sole purpose of hiring only legal U.S. citizens for jobs, and the penalties already exist for violators, whether employer or employee. Random audits need to become routine audits to discourage violators, and once enforced, employment becomes harder to come by and illegal immigration slows down. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The required I-9 form. I'm sure a lot of us have already seen that because when we've been hired at some point or another, we've had to fill out this little form here, which asks for 2 forms of identification. They don't specify which, they leave it up to you, but typically we use driver's license and social security card or passport, driver's license, something that shows physically what our face is, as well as some form of ID that's government issued. Now, the purpose of this I-9 form is to document that each new employee, citizen and non-citizen, hired after 1986 is authorized to work in the U.S. But that form also states that it's illegal to discriminate against any individual due to their national origin and or their citizenship status. Basically, what they're trying to say is that it's illegal to discriminate against work authorized individuals. If someone comes over, say, from Peru, but they have a work permit to work in the U.S., we can't discriminate against them and say, well, I'm not really sure if we should hire you, I don't know the legalities to this. We can't do that. But on the other sense, if they're not providing the proper documents, that's when we can stop it right here at this point. Now, there are penalties for violators. The Department of Homeland Security may impose penalties if an investigation reveals that you knowingly hire or knowingly continue to employ an unauthorized alien or fail to comply with the employment eligibility verification requirements with respect to employees hired after November 6, 1986. And then they say that they call it, they'll issue a notice of intent to fine, or an NIF, when it intends to impose fines. Let me go into that. These fines are this. The first offense, and this is usually for the employers, is that it's not less than $375 and no more than $3,200 for the first offense, and then it ranges anywhere from $3,200 to $6,500 for the second offense. Any subsequent offense after that, they're looking at no less than $4,300 and not more than $11,000 for each unauthorized alien. If the employer has already been convicted, then we're looking at this jumping up to $3,000 per employee and then a 6-month imprisonment. Now, there's also penalties for people who provide false documentation. Persons who use fraudulent identification or employment authorization documents or documents that were lawfully issued to another person that they're using falsely, they can be fined, they can be imprisoned, or both, up to 5 years. Or there may be other federal criminal statutes that may provide higher penalties in certain fraud cases. So now that we understand the existing laws and the penalties, so why are illegal immigrants still finding jobs? Well, currently the Department of Homeland Security is leaving it up to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is actually ICE, to audit employers. But these audits are only done at random and they're not done routinely enough. Both departments claim that they are short-staffed and employment regulations take a backseat to larger illegal alien group deportations. That seems to be their priority. So what can we do about this? Well, I propose that we do routine or annual audits of the I-9s on file, also by redirecting the current staff that we have to these audits, starting with restaurants and factories, which are notorious for hiring illegal immigrants at lesser wages to save on their labor costs. And then also starting a campaign for educational awareness for these employers. One thing I don't think a lot of employers know is that the government already provides a website called e-verify at dhs.gov. And all the employer has to do is send that over to the government, and they will verify whether those documents provided are legitimate or not. And that would prevent a lot right there. So, another thing I want to point out is that this isn't an instant fix. It will take several years for the audits to actually scare off illegal immigrants from trying to find jobs in the U.S. But once the jobs become harder to come by, either they will be forced to get work permits or legal citizenship to acquire these jobs. And if the penalties are actually enforced, then they may think twice before coming here to make a better life for themselves. So with these simple changes, employers slow the flood of the illegal immigration down to a drip. So let's start a grassroots effort of change. Let's ask our employers that they use the E-Verify website to check new hire documentation. Why don't we write to our local representatives in government offices to ask for annual audits of I-9s and actual enforcement of those laws that already exist. And we need to start on the grassroots level, on our level, of actually stop patronizing the companies that knowingly hire illegal immigrants to save on labor costs, such as Tyson Foods, which a few years ago actually had a major bust where they had a bunch of illegal immigrants working for them at Tyson Foods. In summary, I just want to say let's all work together to save our American jobs. And I would like to state once again that I'm not opposed to legal immigration in the United States, just illegal immigrants taking away the good, honest jobs that we need to provide for our families here in the United States of America. By stopping the financial aid or easily providing jobs to illegal immigrants, we can slow down and hopefully stop illegal immigration from choking our nation. Thank you.